Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on a little bit of AI magic. We're going to talk about how a language model, which at its core is just really, really good at predicting the next word, can suddenly do things like browse the web, search your files, or even write code. This is the stuff that turns an AI from a smart chatbot into a powerful sidekick. So you've probably asked an AI to find you a recipe, or maybe even create a picture of an astronaut riding a horse. And it just does it. But have you ever really stopped and thought, wait a minute, how did that actually happen? How does a system that's built for language suddenly know how to use the internet or, generate an image? That is the big question we're digging into today.
Well, the secret behind all of this has a name: tool calling. This is the key mechanism that turns a language model from a brilliant but kind of isolated brain into an active agent that can actually reach out and interact with other software and APIs. It's what gives the AI hands and eyes in the digital world. Okay, before we dive into the code and the technical stuff, let's start with a really simple analogy. This is a great way to get a feel for the main idea without getting lost in the weeds just yet. I want you to imagine you're a fantastic chef, and your friend calls you, totally panicked, asking for help with dinner. Now, without tools, you're just giving advice from memory. You can't see what they have in their fridge, you can't check if their oven is preheated. Your advice is pretty general, right? But with tools, your friend can send you a picture of their ingredients or the exact oven temperature. All of a sudden, your advice becomes super specific, dynamic, and way more helpful. That's exactly what tool calling is for an AI. All right, so now that we've got the basic idea, let's get a little more technical. How does this conversation actually work between the AI model and the application it's living in? Well, you can think of it like a carefully choreographed digital handshake. It all happens in this little four-step loop, over and over again. First, you give the AI a prompt, and the model recognizes, hey, I can't answer this with just what I know. I need a tool for this. So, in step 2, it sends a very specific, structured request over to the application. Step 3, the application does the actual work. It runs the tool, gets the data, and then sends that result back to the model. And finally, in step 4, the model takes that new info, makes sense of it, and gives you a much, much smarter answer. So, how does the AI even know what tools are available or how to use them in the first place? It's not psychic. It all comes down to giving it a really clear instruction manual. So let's break down the building blocks of what a tool actually looks like to the model. Every single tool is defined by 3 core things. First, it has a unique name, like read file, so the model knows exactly what to ask for. Second, and this is maybe the most important part, is the description. This is just a plain English explanation of what the tool does so the AI knows when it should use it. And finally, you have parameters. These are the specific inputs the tool needs to do its job, like a file name for a file reading tool. And this instruction manual is what a developer would call a tool definition. It's basically a chunk of text, usually in a format called JSON, that lays everything out perfectly. The tool's name, its purpose, and exactly what inputs it needs. You can think of this as the contract between the AI and the app, making sure they're both speaking the same language. So when you ask the AI something like, hey, can you show me the code in my button component? It looks at that definition we just saw and creates this request. It specifies the tool it wants, read file, and it fills in the required parameters. In this case, the exact path to the button file. The application sees this, goes and reads that file, and sends the contents right back to the AI. Okay, now let's talk about how this simple idea can become an absolute superpower, especially for anyone who writes code. This is where tool calling really goes from being a cool feature to a total game changer. When you give an AI the right set of tools, it can become a real partner in your codebase. It's not just suggesting snippets of code anymore. We're talking about an AI that can read and write files directly in your project, search your entire codebase for you, run terminal commands to test your code, and even check your work for errors. It is literally like having a junior developer ready to help 24/7. Now, for the senior engineers and system architects watching, it's really important to know that this isn't just free magic. Using tools comes with some serious trade-offs, especially when it comes to cost and performance. And it's also crucial to see what's coming next. So every time an AI model processes language, it's using up something called tokens, and you pay for every single token. Tool calling adds to this cost in 2 big ways. First, all those tool definitions have to be sent along with your request. But the real kicker is that the results from the tool get added back into the conversation. This can eat up the model's limited memory, what we call its context window, really, really fast. So the trade-off is clear. You get a much more helpful AI, but it can be more expensive.
So how do we make this better? Right now, every developer has to build their own custom integrations for every tool. It can get pretty messy, but there's a new standard starting to emerge that's designed to fix this, and it's called MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. The whole idea is to create a universal language for AI tools.
And honestly, the best way to understand the vision here is to think about USB. Remember before USB? Every single device, your mouse, your keyboard, your printer, it all had a different crazy plug. It was a nightmare. Then USB came along and created one standard that worked for everything. Well, MCP wants to be the USB for AI tools. Just imagine a future where, because of a standard like MCP, you could build a tool one time and have it work with any AI application. You could connect your AI directly to your Figma designs, your project management tickets in Linear, or even your company's own private databases. That creates a truly seamless, intelligent workflow. So if we bring this all together, the single most important thing to take away from this is that tool calling is the bridge. It's the bridge that lets an AI cross over from just being a passive text generator to being an active participant in our digital world. It is the key that unlocks an entirely new level of what AI can do. And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about. If any application can become a tool for an AI, what are we all going to build next? What happens when our AI assistants can see, act, and interact with everything we do on our computers? The possibilities are just staggering. Thanks so much for watching.